This is a busy week in the People's House, and I'll just rattle through a few things that we're doing here this week. Yesterday, we passed bipartisan legislation to combat ISIS's trafficking of cultural property. This is going to go to the president's desk. Today, we are passing bipartisan legislation to protect American manufacturers from needless taxes. This is something that I worked on for years at the Ways and Means Committee. We finally found a way to fix this while adhering to our rules on earmarks, and this is good. This is good for consumers. It's good for manufacturers. We believe that this will get to the president's desk very soon. It's good for jobs. It's good for our competitiveness. It's good for consumers. We will also pass the bipartisan privacy bill that Kevin Yoder just talked about. The last time we updated these laws, I was flipping burgers at McDonald's. I was borrowing my next-door neighbor's Apple II Plus to write my school reports, which at that time was the coolest computer around, which is basically a glorified word processor. These laws need to be updated, and so it's clearly long overdue, and I'm very thankful for Kevin to doing this. The principle here is very important. Our Fourth Amendment rights should apply to our emails. This bill does that without impeding law enforcement's ability to do its job, but with a court order. Tomorrow we will pass bipartisan legislation to renew the successful D.C. school choice program. Think about how many times the administration has tried to deny funding for this program or to eliminate it altogether. This initiative, this SOAR program, has helped thousands of low-income children in Washington, D.C. We have the support of Mayor Bowser and most of the city council to keep it going, and we are passing it this week. We're also going to pass the HALOS Act so we can have more startup businesses in this country. And we're going to pass a resolution rejecting the fiduciary rule at the end of the week because the government should not get in the way of people's ability to save for their retirement or for their saving needs. This is in addition to all the work that is going on in our committees through regular order. Most importantly, on ways that we can fight the opioid epidemic. Many of our members are very involved in this issue. Several committees, three committees this week are working on passing that legislation so we can quickly bring it to the floor. It has been a very, very productive 6 months, but there is only so much we can do in divided government. And because there are big issues that will not be solved in this divided government, that is why we are working on a very specific policy agenda to take to the country so that we can give our fellow citizens a very clear choice. Thank you.
As the speaker laid out this week, there's an underlying theme. It's about jobs, it's about innovation, it's about moving this economy into the 21st century, and that's what the House is doing on the floor. Just highlighting what the speaker talked about earlier on the floor. When you think about protecting Americans' emails, why would you treat electronically different than you would pen and pad? Removing tariffs. That enhances the ability for America to produce more manufacturing jobs. Or when you look at protecting that code, protecting that innovation that gives us an advantage on a process to have manufacturing. And last but not least, increasing access to capital resources. When you look at the HALO bill, you think maybe that's a small act. Well, the chairman of small business, that's where big business is created, in small business. You wonder who started a business with angel investing? Facebook, Amazon. When you look at this new economy, Chairman Chabot went out and found a problem with the SEC not focusing on the angel investing. Through small business, he found a place that we could actually grow. All of these bills will be on the floor this week, but it will help transform America to be greater innovation and prepare us for the next century.
I'm proud to be a co-sponsor of Kevin Yoder's Email Privacy Act. When you look at what this bill does, putting real protections in place so that law-abiding citizens don't have to worry about federal agencies reading their emails or text messages. The IRS, in their own written documents, has said they don't think that Fourth Amendment protections apply to law-abiding citizens' documents, whether it's email communication stored on a server for more than 6 months or text messages. And in fact, they're reading emails from private citizens. The flag still stands. Look at that.
Yeah, hang on. It's got to be. Yeah, you got it. Jeez, why is that photograph?
Paul saved the Republic, so that's. So anyway,
All right, back to what you were saying, Steve.
the IRS clearly is not happy with what's going on right here. But when you think about the fact, most American citizens don't even know that right now the IRS can be reading their emails and has been reading their emails for years without any notification. The only way you'd find out is if they found something in that email that made them then go after you in a criminal way. And so, number one, this bill actually puts those protections in place that never were anticipated in 1986 when you didn't have email communications. But in fact, now people use it on a daily basis and expect that right to privacy that exists with written documents. So the email puts that privacy in place and protects American citizens so that they don't have to worry about federal agencies reading their private email communications.
As elected representatives, we have a constitutional responsibility to restore we the people in our federal government, we the people. And it starts by rebuilding people's trust in our ability to do the people's work. And that includes protecting privacy rights, including when it comes to our email inboxes and our text messages. When the Electronic Communications Privacy Act was first introduced, it was 1986. It was a different time back then. Your phone actually was stuck to the wall. You weren't texting. Mark Zuckerberg was a toddler. The writers couldn't have possibly imagined the growth and innovation that we've experienced over the last 30 years. This law is long overdue for an update. Digital due process is necessary to protect our private information. This constitutional right must be protected in this century just like it was in the last. And I applaud Congressman Yoder's great work on this bill. This is about ensuring our laws and our standards reflect a 21st century America, a confident America, where we the people feel secure in our lives.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The American people's privacy is a fundamental sacred right. It's the linchpin upon which so many of our freedoms rest. But in order to protect those freedoms, we must also balance the needs of law enforcement alongside the rights of the American people. That's why we need legislation like Mr. Yoder's Email Privacy Act. This bill codifies the basic tenets of privacy and security to ensure the rights of the American people that they are being upheld. The bill standardizes the warrant process for law enforcement agency. It clarifies what material is public and what is private. It gives the necessary tools to law enforcement agencies without compromising the privacy rights of Americans. The last few years have eroded the American people's trust in the government's ability to protect their privacy. This legislation is a step in the right direction to rebuild that trust and protect the rights of Americans nationwide.
Questions? You got it? All right. Susan. Savor this moment, everyone. Yeah. I'm going to defer you to the task force. I think they're the ones who are working on this right now. So I would defer you to the task force. We're waiting to see what they come up with.
As a follow-up, is there something that could happen this year on that, or you just in terms of?
That's not out of the realm of the possibilities. But again, the majority leader schedules that. But I'd refer you to the task force and let's see what they come up with. They're trying to figure this one out. It's a big issue. Jonathan.
When you come back in May, you're facing this deadline. Now the new self-imposed deadline to May 15.
Yeah.
Getting a budget. You mentioned this morning you see it at least as a symbolic thing to do. What I'm curious about is there's always been either a budget or a deemer resolution. If there isn't one of those, does that undermine the actual credibility of the budget committee itself, which has only been around for 40 years and its main things to
Right.
sort of be a scope?
We're looking at all options. We're still having conversations with our members. We're having lots of group conversations to figure out how to move forward. Obviously, we want to pass a budget. And obviously, since a number was passed last year, that has taken pressure off of some people's feel that we need to do a budget. We want to have we will have a functioning appropriations process this year. We're trying to figure out how to do it the best possible way going forward. And yes, we want to pass a
Do you worry
budget.
about setting a new precedent, though?
Look, we're talking about all these things and all the options, and we're going to do as much as we can.
The framework of a $1.1 billion deal between Patty Murray and Roy Blunt to combat Zika seems to be emerging in the Senate as a standalone piece of legislation. Would the House consider standalone legislation to combat Zika?
Again, we're meeting with the appropriators. We're looking at all different options. The administration has a bit of a track record of over requesting what they need. Don't forget one thing. There's money in the pipeline right now. We take this very seriously. $600 million has already been reprogrammed, so they have money right now. And now our appropriators are getting the answers to their questions to figure out how to go forward. So we will sit down with the appropriators to figure out the best way forward to make sure that we're good stewards of the taxpayers' money and to make sure that we have what we need to combat and stay ahead of the Zika virus issue. How we do that, we have not yet decided. So all options are open, and we haven't foreclosed anything.
Standalone is a possibility.
We haven't foreclosed any options, and we're waiting to hear from the appropriators what they think the best way forward is.
Speaker, Mr.
Wong.
Speaker, can you clarify your position on the majority of the majority rule, specifically as it relates to the Puerto Rico bill? Did you only bring the Puerto Rico bill to the floor
Look,
if it had the majority support of your colleagues?
we are having very productive conversations on Puerto Rico. I believe that we will have a large bipartisan support on the bill. They're productive conversations. I don't want to get ahead of those conversations. The Resources Committee, working with the Treasury Department, is making sure that they get the technical details down on this. And here's the key point. We need to do something to help our fellow citizens in Puerto Rico, to bring order to the chaos, to give them the tools they need to get their budget balanced, to restructure their debt, and to keep the taxpayer out of this. There will not be a taxpayer bailout for Puerto Rico. These are bipartisan conversations that are occurring. They're fruitful. I don't want to get ahead of it other than that. Thank you.